You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. As always, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell, the Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. Hope you're all doing well this evening. This is episode 434 of the podcast. And in this episode, we are talking about Maryland women's basketball. I know it's been a hot minute since we talked about them. But before we get into that, as you've seen, we're in introduction. Episode 433 was recorded. Obviously, some things have occurred where my work schedule kind of conflicts with me going live. But this upcoming Friday, Saturday-ish, depending, I'm going to go live with a WNBA mock draft. So be tuned in for that. But I'm going to try to do my best to implement some live podcast episodes in there for you guys. But these two episodes are recorded and will go live tomorrow. I had one episode, it'll go live really more later in the afternoon. This episode will go live before the game. I have to go live around 4 o'clock because the game comes on about 6, if I remember correctly. My article for tomorrow will be up on mdsportsblog.com. As a preview, we're getting ready to play Penn State. I'm actually looking forward to that game. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that game because we're coming off 3 tough losses. Again, it's been a lot. But the last time we talked about the women's basketball was really kind of early in the season. We had Coach Freeze here on the podcast, and there was a lot in there. We had the Navy Classic tournament. That was an opportunity to cover that. That was an experience where we did really well with that. We beat George Mason in Toledo, if I remember correctly. Mount St. Mary's. I didn't cover that game. Wayman Mary. Did I see that one? Yes, I remember that one. The Purdue, that was our first Big Ten matchup. That was a good comeback on the road. Michigan State, that was a good win. Then our first New Year win against Rutgers, where they tried to make it seem like it was a revenge game for Kayleen Smichael when it really was just, to me, another basketball game for her. And then this reporter, I guess, who covers Rutgers, tried to make it seem like Kayleen was an issue at Rutgers last year, which I think that's bullshit. Excuse my language, but no, she wasn't the issue. But that's besides all that. Maryland has, for the most part, was looking pretty good. And I still think are been a good team. Where our first loss was against USC. Juju Watkins and Kiki Arifin came into College Park. That was a good game to cover. It was a good turnout. Then in these 3 losses, we'll talk about those. But it's been this year. I've been out of my shell more and covering more of the home games as best I can. That's not interfering with work, and I'm enjoying the opportunity. So I got to give a shout out to Rose DePaula for that opportunity. And yes, it has been a good opportunity. There are some times where I'm trying my best to control my emotions when sitting in the press box. Now, I'm not being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you're kind of like antsy. I'm not doing all that, but it's just, when you're watching the game and you're seeing things like where you have the official calls a game, or, if a player had made the extra pass or they take the shot, little things like that. I think the fan side at times sees things that, could say we could be better in some areas, but I digress. But as of right now, that's pretty where we're at as of right now, I'm getting you up to speed. Since then, Maryland is 6th in the Big Ten. We're 16-4. We're 9-2. No, we're 6-3 in the conference. The 4 losses, obviously USC, and we'll talk about these 3 losses. And we'll obviously this last week was something, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll preview the matchup against Penn State. But I also want to iterate this as well. Like when I look at the Big Ten, and shout out to Jasmine Brown, she mentioned this to me. Teams like USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, they're in for a rude awakening come the Big Ten tournament. Well, come March Madness. And I'm going to finish the rest of that statement towards the end of the video. But let's start with this first game. So we played, this was our last non-conference game. If people remember, a few years ago, we lost this team in an attorney led by Charlie Collier. That's still painful to this day. Let it go. But no, in all seriousness, this was the inaugural Coretta Scott King tournament in New Jersey. I had some people ask that was I going, and I said no, respectfully. This was, I thought, good for us. I think to be a part of something this historic for the Terps. And hey, like you're playing somebody you hadn't seen in since you hadn't seen him since was attorney. And I thought it could have been a good matchup. And it's our first game without Bree McDaniel. Bree McDaniel tore her ACL, and she slightly tore her meniscus in the win against Minnesota. And kind of knew, I was thinking more it was kind of hyperextension just by guess. And there was a lot of people that were kind of like, well, how come this team's not saying anything? And, I myself had to put out something like, they'll say something, just be patient. And she put the announcement herself. So this was our first game without her. So anywho, this is a top 10 matchup. Final score was 89-51. Obviously, not having Bree there kind of played a factor. So that's Mir McLean, Amari DeBerry, Ava McKinney, everyone stepping up. And then Cheyenne Sellers gets hurt. And like that. In the second quarter, we didn't see that coming. That hurt for sure. Um, and especially, both of them, especially Shy, who's as the senior, and I think and I stand by my tweet. I think she's a top 5 WNBA draft prospect for this upcoming draft. And they confirmed it was a day-to-day knee injury, but not having them in the game definitely played a factor. But I mean, even when she was in there, we were down 20 points, and in fairness, Texas was too big for us. We looked overmatched in the paint. I mean, just had no answers. They used their size to their advantage. I mean, what was it? Caleb Oyeaker, Oyeaker, Taylor Jones. I mean, they combined for 28 points, 15 rebounds. I mean, there's a little things we could have done better. Could have boxed out. I just think, but also too, there's things we could have made some adjustments on. But Texas didn't have really the best game either. If I'm being honest, I'll look at the stats if I remember correctly. That was another game for them as well. But that was probably for us at the film, offensive wise, again, because of the size. When you have 7 forwards coming off the bench, you only have 1. Again, you've got to have ball handlers. That's something that Coach Free said. I remember that distinctively. And that definitely showed. On only attempt 22 field goals in the first half, that can't happen. And then 18 points in the first half and shooting under 32%? No, can't happen. I mean, we took 7 threes in that game, but in fairness, I mean, they could have just thrown in the towel when Shy got hurt, but no, they still played, and I give them credit for that. Next game, Ohio State on the road. So obviously, we had this our first matchup. Last time we saw Ohio State was last year in the Big Ten tournament, where we upset them, and I think actually made a case for us to get into the NCAA tournament. We had this game. I thought we did well in the first half. We looked good, but that third quarter was key. We could talk about the free throws, but that's something I think that can easily be fixed. I mean, I've seen at times throughout games throughout the season where that's been an issue, but I mean, we did a good job drawing fouls, getting to the line, but down the stretch, I mean, how many times I can't tell you how many times we got to the free throw line and 21 to 34. That's almost 62% from the free throw line. And you gotta hit your free throws. And especially in an 8-point loss, now come on. That's just my opinion. You gotta hit free throws. And then the first half, I thought we looked great. I thought we did all the right things. And then that 15-0 run, that's where it started. Because especially in the half court, they scored 6 points within 20 seconds. We couldn't do anything against the front court press. The Buckeyes kill you in 3 phases. That full court press cheese, their physicality, and trapping you. If they get all three phases of those things done, you've lost the game already. I mean, we could not do anything against a full court press because what was at one point we were up 10, we were down 5. And again, not having, you having a short bench definitely hurts. But I mean, you have to be, in fairness, you do have to find minutes because you don't want to overextend players. You don't want to, have someone else go down with injury. So, but also too, like, I need to see who else is capable of stepping up. You're not sitting on that bench for a reason. I mean, it was nice to see Emily Fisher get some minutes. It was nice to have seen. I kind of like to know why Ava and Mir didn't touch any minutes in the second half. Maybe it was something, I don't know, matchup wise. I don't know. But and then the turnovers too. I think the biggest thing that hurts Maryland at times as well is turnovers. Even though the turnovers against the Buckeyes weren't that bad, 17 is okay in the game. Let me say it that way. Compared to the season, it's different. But in this game, 17-6, that's 11. We had 11 more turnovers than them. That can't happen. But again, they took advantage of our turnovers. They had 20 points of our turnovers. We only had 2 steals, and most of that came in the first half. And again, I kind of agree, and Kayleen said it in the post presser, I kind of agree with it. Some of it was how we were passing the ball. We weren't making the right reads. I agree with that. I think you got to be better with how you pass the ball inside and how you feed, especially the post players, and especially if you're seeing somebody getting trapped in the corner or even coming off, even inbounding the ball. It's little things like that. So, and then this past Sunday we played the number 1 ranked UCLA Bruins. So we had to see Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice. And it was a good turnout. It was well over 13,000 folks at Xfinity Center, even though the Commanders were playing the Eagles. Final score was 82-67. Lauren Betts is a cheat code. No, listen, Lauren Betts she's one hell of a player. She definitely will be National Player of the Year. Lauren Betts has the case to be the number 1 overall pick for next year's WNBA draft. I mean, she does all the right things. I mean, we couldn't stop. It doesn't matter who we put on her. We tried. She had finished with 33 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks. I liked the idea of putting Amari on her. And I thought Amari, for the most part, held her own. But just trying to get her off the dribble. It's just something we did. She's just good. And then, Kiki Rice had 19 points. But also too, the one thing this is not throwing shade, but this is this is seriously basketball 101, especially defense. If you're going over to trap or double team, okay, this is where communication is extremely important, because especially with a player like Lauren, I watched a lot of at times where it didn't matter if it was Lauren Betts, it was others, where the ability to kick it out to the corner or whatnot, and they were able to find shooters, and we're not getting back fast enough. There's got to be we got to be better at communicating that, because every time when we went to double, someone was passing it out, and that was at times a bit frustrating. And still, I mean, when you're playing in number one country without your two best players, that's not an easy feat. I mean, we went toe to toe with Juju Watkins and Kiki Arifin a couple weeks ago. I with Shy and Bree, I think this game's a little different. But I mean, I still think, to me, again, and they still fought. There were multiple times this game could have been, the sales could have been, the doors could have been blown open, but we did not. There was the second quarter, we had that 12-2 run. We brought in with 2 points before going into break. But Salem Poffenberger had 18 points, and even fourth quarter. Even though the fourth quarter, but again, the fourth quarter of the game was obviously over, but both sides of the ball, you still saw a Terp team be resilient and still compete. It was interesting when I looked at the stats that they only lost a rebound battle and turnover battle. They lost a rebound battle by 1 rebound and turnover rebound battle, by 1 each. That is really, really something. I was like, and that's against the number 1 ranked team in the nation. And also, too, I think, and again, in fairness, is the transition. I thought that also hurt us too. When I look at the film, when you have, you've got to be able to get back in transition. There's a couple of times I'm seeing we're not getting back in transition defense. We're not getting back, and when especially on turnovers, 18 turnovers to 7 assists, that can't happen. We got to be better with that. But in fairness, listen, these last 3 games were tough. You're going up against the 3 best teams in the nation, and again, each team, I think there's definitely positives. You can take it out of all of them, but I'm still proud of this team. I'm not worried. This team, I still think, is definitely going to surprise a lot of people. And especially when Shy comes back, I think that's a sleeping giant. I think people don't want to see awoken. And even what I'm seeing so far within the games, like Ava McKinney's development so far, once we get her jump shot consistent, she's definitely going to be a player to watch as she grows as a Terrapin. Amari DeBerry, this was our first start. And little things, she held her own. So I would expect her to get some more minutes for sure. But definitely, Allie Kubek, I would like, her definitely. She's definitely, she's like, for me, I think I'm one of those, if there's a mistake, let a player play through it. And I think sometimes also too, I think officiating, gets players frustrated. And sometimes, a player might make a mistake in how you foul and different things like that. But I think sometimes it also kind of wears on a player's confidence. But, I think, when I'm looking at Allie will be fine. Christina will be fine. We're doing all the right things. I just think 3 games in 7 days, respectfully, that's a lot. And you're going to be against the 3 best teams in the nation without 2 best players. Now, I'm going to talk about that on the men's side because there was I'm not going to say this person's name, but there was a high individual that went on a radio show and said that scheduling, all that other stuff is not an excuse. but it's a reality. But we're going to talk about that in another video. But let's get into a commercial break, and we're going to preview our matchup against those Penn State Nittany Lions. Okay, and we're back. But before we get into that, I definitely would do want to send a shout out to Bree McDaniel. Today, she got surgery as to fix get surgery on her torn ACL and meniscus. My prayers out to her and a speedy recovery. We're going to hold the fort down for her, and she's definitely a trooper. I had the pleasure of interviewing her last year on the podcast. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting both of her parents, but definitely Bree is definitely the spark plug and the energy, and she'll be back for sure. But I just want to give her a shout out and best wishes and a healthy and speedy recovery. And we can't wait to see you back on the court soon. And this week, the committee was not nice to us. We're ranked number 14. Just couldn't throw us a bone, huh? But it's okay. And the net rankings had us at 25. But again, in fairness, you don't have your two best. You're missing two players due to injury. But it's okay. We'll be all right. Anywho, Maryland is playing Penn State. The last time we saw Penn State was last year. Same time last year, the Ravens lost to the Chiefs. Anyway, tomorrow the game is at 6. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. It's going to be on the Big Ten Plus app. Check it out. This Penn State teams will look a little different compared to what was last year. Last year, they won 23 games. They were actually 500. This year, they're kind of down there. They've only won one conference game. They were actually 1-9 this year in the Big Ten, and they're actually 10-11. Their team is about the same. I do know that Gabby Elliott's still with them. She just transferred from Michigan State because she played at Michigan State and Clemson. I know Gracie Markle. I'm just naming a couple people off the top of my head. Those are just a couple names I know because I remember them distinctly from last year. Because she played somewhere, Bellarmine or something like that. I can't remember. And then they're not the best team when it comes to turnovers. That's an interesting stat to watch because they're in the top 15 amongst any other conference. I don't know how you can. You're not going to win basketball games when you're having that high of turnovers, and they're averaging something like I saw the last stats for them was almost 18, 19 assists a game. That can't happen. But they can shoot the ball. They got the shooters. That's what Gabby Elliott's there for. Watch her at Michigan State and Clemson for sure. And then I'm curious to see how that'll look. But for us, Obviously, the biggest elephant in the room is, well, I should say, is well, Shy. Will she be available? More than likely, no. That's just my opinion. That's just saying that. Again, will be fine. I feel really good. I don't think this is a trap game. For my keys, we just got to come out aggressive. I need my. At one point, it starts honestly with Kayleen Schmeichel. This is why she's here. I need her to be the scorer I know that she can be. Like, to me, I think the last couple games, I think defenses have kind of figured out how to guard her defensively. And I feel like we kind of have to get her going early. I kind of expect us to kind of go a little big in the lineup a little bit. Because I'm actually curious to see how we're going to guard the perimeter. I do expect Mir McLean more minutes. I actually kind of expect to see really mostly everyone touch the floor. Because again, one day preps, you probably would see Amari, Ava, even Emily touch the floor for sure. But definitely rebounding, the turnover battles. I think Maryland's easily going to win that for sure. Win the transition, but also to foul trouble. I thought we did a really good job getting to the free throw line against Penn State. Penn State against UCLA. So, win the rebound battle. Win the assist to turnover ratio. But also, too, play smart basketball 40 minutes. I think the discrepancy between the first half, and especially I use the Ohio State game, really was adjustments. But again, when you have a short bench, it's hard to make those adjustments. So I'm curious to see, staying out of foul trouble is another thing. Because just saying, Christina, just as an example, 3 fouls. Okay, now I kind of have to go to my bench. That kind of puts a damper on things. So we kind of have to limit the foul trouble. So I believe they're playing. I forgot where they're playing. I know it's one of their. Is it Rec Hall? Because they haven't played there since the mid '90s. So that's going to be interesting. I think we'll be fine. So we clearly have the better team, and obviously I think we're due. And I think these last 3 wins, we're going to take. I think we're ready. I think we're fine. We'll be all right. My final score is we're beating the Penn State Indy Lions 85-61.
Guaranteed.
That's just my opinion. Because I just think, again, it's you can see positives in there. We're just a very resilient team. We're doing all the right things. It's just, obviously, there's always a team that's bigger and better, and that's okay. But that's what's happening in Maryland basketball, and I'm still part of this team. This team I still think, can make a deep run. I'm still sticking with the Final Four prediction, as amongst others have said. I believe that we'll be fine. Give us some time. That's the title. I'm being patient. We want to stay resilient. We'll be all right. And yes, for sure. My experiences so far at Xfinity has been really, really chill. From the times I've been there, seeing hot dogs being thrown at fans, that's different. And seeing stuff fall out the ceiling with parachutes, that was something. But definitely, it's nice to see all the still Maryland alumni in the building too. That's really nice. Most definitely, it's nice to see that. But other than that, it's been fun to cover the Terps so far this season. And yes, their next home game after this is Illinois, and then they go on the road. Let's see. I know they got to go. Ooh, damn. They got to go see those Ducks, the Oregon Ducks. And they got to play Watt. Damn, that road trip's going to be discussed. That's wow. So they got Illinois on Sunday. So we have 8 games left as of today, or tomorrow, excuse me. There's 9 games left, but once we finish this game, 8 games left before the tournament. Then it's the Big Ten tournament, obviously. Wow. Damn, the season went by fast. Maryland can actually finish this season strong. Maryland can, honestly and truthfully, might win, could really mess around and win all 8 of these games. Well, including this Penn State game. They could really finish the season out strong, in my opinion. We're being honest, because it's Oregon, Washington, Nebraska, Michigan, Northwestern, Indiana. You know that Ohio State game, you definitely know we're gonna be out for. You definitely know it's gonna be a payback, because we ain't gonna go out we're not gonna go out without swinging, because without a shadow of a doubt. So that's interesting. That West Coast trip is definitely going to be something, because that Oregon game is a 9:00 game at night. Jeez. But anywho, Penn State game tomorrow against Maryland, 6:00, Big Ten Plus. Check it out. We'll also be covering it. You can follow me on Twitter at @NathanSnell from mdsportsblog.com for updates as you follow throughout the game, and then we'll have the recap as well on MarylandSportsblog.com. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. Have a good night. Please stay safe, and I'll catch you on the flip side. This video will go up 4:00 before the game. We'll talk soon. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.